Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam and this is where I talk about all things sewing. And do you remember me? Apologies for the video silence since Christmas time. I got a little bit overwhelmed with trying to do Vlogmas and run a business. Seems I can't do both, and edit videos as well. So it just got a little bit too much for me. But all is well, I'm back and hopefully I'm back to making regular videos. Technology withstanding, that is. So I thought I'd just bob on before we start with So Frugal, which is coming to you in March. I thought I'd just come on and tell you a little bit about some of the things that I've been making over the last couple of months. I won't do everything that I've made since last time I spoke to you, but I thought I'd just come and tell you about a couple of things that I've made and get myself back into the routine of videoing and editing and what have you. So I hope you're looking forward to So Frugal 23. That will be starting in March, and Rowan will be opening the videos on Wednesday along with Remy from So Live. They will be doing the first videos, and I'll be back on Friday, which I think is the 3rd of March, to do my plans and ideas. I've got a comedy mannequin here. It's just thinking. Somebody offered me a mannequin and I just said, oh well, I've got one, but I can take one into the studio and have one here. And when I've put it together today, it won't stay up, so she's just thinking. So bear with me while I just give her a bit of a fettle, and I'll come back. I'm back. I think she's on the wonk now, but I've had to stand her on a stool. Anyway, so yeah, somebody offered me a mannequin and I thought, well, I can't pass it up, and you know, it was free, so I thought I'll have one here, have one at the studio. So yeah, that's what you get when you get for something for nothing. There's always some reason why somebody's getting rid of something, isn't there? So I'm going to start with what Mandy's wearing, and then I will tell you what I'm wearing, because obviously you can see it's the same fabric. So Mandy is wearing, she's not Mandy actually, it's her replacement. She is wearing a Style Arc Asher dress, which I was making for a pre-Christmas drinks evening with my friends on the 17th of December. And it didn't get made. But it was made for Christmas Eve. So I wore it Christmas Eve, I wore it New Year's Eve, and I've worn it a couple of times since. I think I wore it for my granddaughter's birthday as well. So Style Arc Asher dress is, it's just got all this shirring at the waist here. There's two versions of it. There's a sleeveless version, which I made in the summer, and then I made this version with the sleeves, and then it's got some extra shirring at the cuff of the sleeve there as well. And then it's just fastens at the back. Let's see if we can turn around without collapsing. Just fastens at the back with a keyhole fastening there. And no bust darts on this one, no pockets either, but no bust darts. It's just gathered gently at the neck there, just to give you that room for your bust. And then it's got a really nice curved hem on it. It's not a dipped hem, it's the same length either side, but it's curved. So yeah, really like this pattern. I saw it when I worked at the fabric shop in Murfield, when I worked at Fabricate in Murfield. We used to stock Style Arc patterns rather in the paper format, and it was always sort of one of those that I caught my eye. But they sell it in two size ranges, so it was I don't know, 0 to something, and then something else, and it was a larger size that we had in stock, so I never bought it. And then I think Style Arc were having a bit of a sale shortly after I left, I think. So I bought the pattern online and printed the PDF off. So really lovely pattern, really like it. Comes together quite easily actually, considering that it's got all the shirring in. I did mess up the shirring. I put the elastic on the outside and it's supposed to go on the inside. But once I've got a couple of rows in, I thought, I'm not taking it out, I'll just make a feature of it. It's fine. It'll be right, as we say in Yorkshire. So the fabric is from Minerva, and it's one of their exclusive viscose chalets. So it's a really nice weight. It's I'd say it's a chalet. I'd say it's closer to a twill weave. But yeah, it's really nice. But when they sent me this fabric, I am a Minerva blogger, by the way. Infrequent Minerva blogger, I must admit. But yeah, so this is free fabric. that they sent me in exchange for a blog post, which I haven't done yet. But when they sent me this, I thought, I really like it, but is it a bit much for me? It's just, I wasn't sure, but I absolutely love it. I really do. And I love this pop of like a aqua blue in it against the like a teal background. I really like it. I'm not big into animal print, but I think Rowan's obviously rubbed off on me and influenced me somehow. And then the top that I'm wearing now is the Remy Raglan. So House 7 Remy Raglan, and I made that from the remnants of this. So what I will say about this fabric is that it's got a really, really wide selvage on one side. And when I went to cut out the bodice for that one, I didn't notice that I got the selvage too far in, and I actually had to recut it because the seam allowance wouldn't have taken it in. So I had, I think it was from the sleeve part, so I had quite a big bit left over, so I managed to get, I think, probably the back out of it, out of that sleeve part, and then I had enough little bits here and there to cut out a Remy Raglan, just a short sleeve one. And I actually taught this as a class at my studio, so I think it's a really good pattern to teach people because you're not worried too much about fitting. It's quite a loose fitting top. You're learning some new techniques, so especially when you're putting this button loop in and you've got a bias bound neckline, but you're not faffing about with insetting sleeves because it's a raglan sleeve. There's no bust darts on it or anything like that, and it's just it's a split at the front and it's top stitched, so that's a little bit fiddly, but again, it's just improving people's skill set, I think. The only difference that I made on this one is that the Remy Raglan's actually designed for fabric that's not printed. That's what I'm trying to say. So as you can see, that this is sort of plain on the other side, and it's supposed to have a turn-up cuff on it. So what I do is I do a slightly different cuff on it so that you can't see the wrong side of the fabric, because I don't like the look of that. So that's something I teach in the class as well. So yeah, I really love Remy Raglans. They're really easy to wear, and whilst I'm on this same fabric, I made a little new look 6106 out of scrap fabric again. And this is just an A-line skirt, and I found this another useful teaching tool for some ladies that come regularly. They come on a Thursday afternoon, and they came to my beginners sewing class, so how to thread up your machine and everything, and they've been coming every Thursday since, and we're just sort of progressing onwards and upwards really. So this is just how to insert a zip, so I've just like put a zip on the back, which you probably can't see, but the reason I'm showing you this one is because I used the some of the remnants in the pockets there, so it just gives it that extra little bit of a flash when you're wearing it. And again, it's another good one for teaching, because I'm teaching people how to put pockets into things. So yeah, so I really like that little black skirt. It was a bit of an unexpected make. It was just something that they decided that they wanted to make, and I thought, well, I'm gonna have to make it myself. So that came free in one of the sewing magazines, I think, did that new looks pattern. So that's 3 things. Then I made another Remy Raglan, identical to this one, which is made from this lovely fabric that I got from Lucky Fashions. Last year or year before, during lockdown, I think. And I really liked it, but I was never sure what to make with it. So as I was putting that class on, I thought, I'll just whip up a Remy Raglan out of that one. So I've done the same with the cuffs. What I do is I turn it up like a seam allowance up, and then 2 inches up, and then I do the cuff 1 inch wide. And then for this one, all I've done is caught it, stitching the ditch underneath, and a catch stitch at the top, which has obviously come out. Oh no, it hasn't, it's there. But whereas this one I've sewn down. So yeah, that's 2 Remy Raglans that I've made in the last couple of weeks. I think I've got 5 now. I think I've probably got enough. But I do have another class on for this Remy Raglan, which is, I think, on the 26th of March. So if anybody wants to join us on that class, I've got a couple of vacancies on that. So it is a good one to sort of up your sewing skills if you fancy it. I'm in Horbury in West Yorkshire, Wakefield, West Yorkshire, if you're wondering or you've not seen where I am before. So that's those. The other thing that I made, and this was at the back end of last year, was, and I've been talking about making these when we were talking in the upcycle challenge that Becky and Karen ran last year, and I wanted to make some running leggings because I took up running last year and I'm still running and absolutely love it. So this floral bit is it's an old dress of mine. I'll insert pictures because they don't look great wafting it about. So Julia Claridge, who has a sewing workshop and fabric shop down in Leicester, I believe, approached me whilst I was still working at Fabricate and said, do I fancy picking one of her patterns, upcycling some of my own fabric. She would send me some of her fabric and writing a blog post on her website about sewing sustainably. So myself and a couple of others did that throughout last year. Because I was still working at Fabricate, said, can you leave it until the end of the year, because obviously a conflict of interest. But by the time I'd sort of done mine, I'd finished at Fabricate, so that were absolutely fine. So that's the background to these. So I have been given the pattern and I've been given the magenta stretch fabric. It's an elastane, and it's actually made from recycled bottles salvaged from the sea, I think. But yeah, really nice pattern, really nice fabric. It's got UV protection in it. But the floral was a dress of mine that I made for my stepbrother's 40th birthday, I think, and I think I wore it about twice. It was always too big. It's a pattern that was designed for woven fabric. I made it in a scuba, and it was always a little bit too big, and then since I've lost weight, it's really too big, and it's just not my style. It was not my style anymore. I'll insert a picture of me wearing it, but it had a stain on it, and I couldn't really sell it. I couldn't send it to a charity shop, so upcycling it was the best option, really. So what I like about these leggings then is the little details on it. So you can see at the back, it just sort of gives you that nice shaping at the back. You've got some really deep pockets in here on both sides, and then you've got the option to put a phone pocket in the hemband there, or there's an option to put a key pocket in there as well. So I went for the phone pocket, and they're great. I really do like them, and I'm really pleased that I've managed to make my own running leggings. So that's that. The other thing that I made, I'll go get it. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, so the other thing I made was the Sienna maker's jacket from Closet Car Patterns, and I did this for the Northern Soul Sisters, Rowan, Rachel and Tamlin, did a Jacket January challenge. It was just a fun challenge, there was no prizes for it. But yeah, I thought it was time to get the Sienna made. I bought this pattern in 2019 and I had it printed. It was all printed off and I just never got around to it. Bought the fabric more or less at the same time. So this is just like a very open weave cotton mix that I got from Fabworks in Dewsbury, and I decided, because I like to make things a little bit harder for myself, that I wanted to line it. The Sienna maker's jacket is unlined. There is a blog post on the Closet Car website telling you how to line it, but it only takes you so far. So it tells you how to draft the lining, but it doesn't really tell you how to get around, because there's a gap here where the belt comes through, which is going to fall off. Hang on. There's a gap here where the belt comes through, so it doesn't really tell you how you should attach that. Let me just undo it and then you can see. So it wasn't without its challenges, shall we say. So for example, there's an inside pocket here, which probably should have gone on the other side, thinking about it now, but I don't know. So that is deeper, and it sort of interfered with that. but so I had to just unpick it. Can you see it? Let's just show you. I'm having all sorts of trouble with this dummy. She's going to be sacked, I think. Yeah, so I just put a little inside pocket in there, but I had to make that smaller. I lined all these pockets and yeah, just completely lined it. The only thing I didn't think about was lengthening the sleeves, which I should have done. I should know by now that composite core patterns usually fit me okay, but I don't think I've ever made anything that's long sleeved on theirs. So I didn't actually double hem the sleeve. It's just got a single hem and it's just serged on the inside. But yeah, really enjoyed making this, and I'm really glad that I've got this fabric out of my stash because it shreds everywhere, and I had too much as always. So I cut out a skirt at the same time, and I'm still working on that. I haven't finished it yet, but that's just making such a mess, and I don't like mess. So you know, you've got to clean up and vac up every time you sew with it and what have you. So it is a bit of a menace. So yeah, it wasn't without its trials and tribulations, this one, but I'm glad I've got it sewn because, again, like I say, the fabric was taking up a lot of room in my stash, so I've made a bit more room. Not to buy more fabric, but, you know, made a bit more room. I had some D-rings. It's supposed to be D-rings on here, and they were too small. I think they were 1 inch, and I think you need 1.5 inches, so I ended up putting like a buckle that you use on dungaree buckles. It doesn't really work because I can see already that when I'm pulling this through, it's going to make that shred. So I think I might just unpick that and find some D-rings that are the right size. Anything else about that? Don't think so. But yeah, really, really love it. And it fits nicely as well. I can't remember, I think I made a size 10 in this one. And at least I've got it made whilst the weather is still, you know, appropriate for wearing a coat. It'd be typical of me to make it midsummer and never get to wear it. So that's that. Like I said, the instructions sort of for adding the lining weren't brilliant. No, that's not right. They went so far. It just sort of stopped at lining that up, that loophole there. And you might be able to see. I don't know if you can see from there. Somebody, me, picked up a pen thinking it was one of those iron off ones, did marking on it, and it wasn't. It was a normal pen, so that's going to have to stay, I'm afraid. Anyway, you live and learn, die and forget it all. So underneath that then is something that I started in September, and that is a seam work Ames blouse, which, can you see it? It's not showing up very brilliantly, but yeah, I got an image on my phone of a very similar blouse, and I thought, oh yeah, I quite like that, and I do like it, but there's a lot of gathering in it and a lot of top stitching in it. So all this bib is top stitched around it, and your placket is top stitched as well, and then all this is gathered in. All your sleeve and all your front and all your back is all gathered into that bib. So like it, the fabric I've had for yonks and yonks, picked it up from, I think it was called the Frugal Fabric Shop or something. Don't think she's online anymore. If you look at the print of it, it is very sort of very vintage inspired, and I did buy it with a view to making a vintage dress, but it was just on the narrow side. So every time I wanted to make a vintage inspired dress out of it, I didn't have enough. I think it was sort of 130, 140 wide and not the 150. And this eats fabric. It used almost all the fabric up because it's so wide, it's so gathered. So I'm glad to have got that out of my stash as well. So I think finally the last thing I want to mention that I made is little Alice, my granddaughter, was 2 in January. Can't believe it, but there you go. And I made her some dungarees, and the fabric, it's a free pattern. I think it's a lady called Made by Toya, and a really nice pattern, but only one size unfortunately. It said it was for size 2, as I say, Alice was 2, and there's room to grow, shall we say. Yeah, so I used that from a remnant that I picked up from Fabricate when I used to work there, and she was just giving it away because it had a really bad stain across it, 60 centimetres. I squeezed it out of only just, I'll show you the pictures, and the insides were some fabric that I got left over from a fabric swap, so it cost me nothing, and I think she looks really cute in them. So really, really nice design. That I can recommend that pattern, and I'll leave a link to the free pattern below. So that gets you your appetite whetted for the So Frugal 23 that's coming up. That's it for my makes so far this year. A couple of them started last year. I think I started that in September but didn't finish it until January-ish, something like that. And I've worn it a couple of times. I do like it. So yeah, I am finding it hard to find time to sew for myself. I'm doing quite a lot of sewing sort of related to the studio. You know, it's just I haven't got into a regular routine, and that's self-employment, isn't it? It's just like sometimes you work in like half term. I worked every day, and then quiet this week and quiet next week. So yeah, I've been really enjoying working at the studio, teaching people, meeting new people, and spreading my love of sewing on as well. I actually had a lady in last week who I went to school with her brother, so that was really nice because we went to the same school, but we don't remember each other. I remember her brother really well. So yeah, it was nice reminiscing and what have you. So I'm meeting lots of new people. The socials are doing well as well. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I've been having Ali in, who was on the Great British Sewing Bee. So we've been doing those socials together. So they're a little bit different to normal socials, whereby we're there to teach if you need it. We're not teaching a formal class, but if you need help with such as a collar or a placket or whatever, Ali brings in a cover of my stitch machine as well. So if you ever fancy having a go at one of those, we did one lady, we sort of more or less made her entire Billy jumper dress on this cover stitch machine. So yeah, we have really good fun, and they're really quite small classes because I've only got 8 chairs, so we don't have a lot of people in. But the last social, Ruan and Rachel came to, and we did it on a Friday evening. So we just got opened a bottle of prosecco and had nibbles and had giggles and what have you. It was really good. So I've got another one of those coming up on the 24th of March. So yeah, that's 5:30 while 8:30. So I'll leave a link to my Eventbrite down below. And whilst I'm telling you what other classes I've got on, I've got a lady called Katie coming in doing a pattern drafting course for me. She has a master's, she's got a degree in fashion design, and she's done tailoring for the Ministry of Defence. So she knows the stuff. And yeah, she's doing a skirt pattern drafting course, pattern making course it is, over the 11th and 12th of March. So again, if you fancy joining us on that one, I'm in Wakefield in West Yorkshire, so if you fancy joining us on that one, that'd be good fun, and great to extend your skills if you're wanting to sort of, you know, design your own clothes without having to use a pattern, because they are quite restrictive of patterns, the size restrictive, and you know, once you get the ideas behind you, you can put whatever design features you want on, and you know it's going to fit. So yeah, I will be back on Friday with my ideas for So Frugal 23. I hope you're all excited about it. I will leave a link to the playlist for the last 2 years down below, so that if you're wanting to make a start and have a look at other people's ideas from previous years, I'll leave a link to that for you. I've had real fun looking through my stash to see what I'm going to make. We've got another exclusive free pattern for you as well, so make sure that you subscribe to both my channel and Ruan's channel, and we'll tell you all about that on the days that we're due up. Ruan will be on the 1st of March and I will be on the 3rd of March. So don't forget to like and subscribe if this is the sort of thing that you like, and I will be back on Wednesday the 3rd of March. Bye.